African-American citizens. Later on, I'll talk about another aspect of our economic system, which has been particularly hard at those at the bottom and middle, and that has to do with the rules of the game on globalization. So far, I've made 3 key points. First, we've had an enormous growth in inequality. Second, that this growth in inequality is not just the result of economic forces, but the result of politics and policies. The third is that this inequality cannot be justified in terms of individuals' contributions. A large fraction of it is rent-seeking. The fourth point, which is the subject or reflected in the title of my book, is that we pay a high price for this inequality. It used to be said by some economists that, yes, inequality is a bad thing, but if we were to do anything about it, even the poor would suffer. Our economic growth would be diminished. It would interfere with economic efficiency. And these kinds of arguments were used to inhibit addressing the problems of inequality. But we now know that that is not true. That we pay a high price for this inequality. We have lower growth, more instability. We face prices in terms of our democracy and the nature of our society. A divided society doesn't function well. There's less social cohesion, as it's already been pointed out, a greater likelihood of conflict, especially when inequality is related to geography and ethnicity. Our democracies are undermined because when you have the high level of inequality manifested in the United States, inevitably translates into political inequality. The notion that we face a high economic price for our inequality has been raised even by the IMF. It has pointed out that higher levels of inequality are associated with lower levels of growth and more instability. In my book, I try to explain exactly the mechanisms by which these adverse effects are realized. But whatever the mechanism, the fact is that the evidence is becoming increasingly strong. The fifth point I'm going to raise is the fact that inequality is due to policies and politics provides a glimmer of hope, because it means that there are policies that could reduce the extremes of inequality that we have. We could look to those countries that have managed to avoid the increase of inequality, and we can look to the countries that have actually managed to reduce the extent of inequality for lessons about what we here in the United States and what those in other countries can do to try to prevent the growth of inequality, particularly the extreme growth that has occurred in some countries, including the United States. I want to conclude by putting all of this into a global perspective. Global rules matter. Today, most countries are, in one way or another, constrained by a variety of international rules. Trade, investment, global finance. We're all embedded in a global financial architecture. So the global rules of the game are important. And just like the domestic rules of the game help determine the degree of inequality within our countries, the global rules of the game determine the degree of inequality across countries and within countries. I chaired a commission appointed by the President of the UN in 2009, in which Jose Antonio Ocampo served.